Well, hello. I'm Brennan Storr, host of the Ghost Story Guy podcast.
And I'm Joseph Comeau, host of In Search of Ghosts.
And this is Weird Together, where we explore the latest and greatest in paranormal entertainment. Because I'm weird, and you're weird. Why not be weird together?
Weird Together is part of the Ghost Story Guys family of podcasts, which also includes the podcast Mysteries and Monsters, Luke Lore, and wait for it, Book of the Dead. You knew it was coming every week.
You glitched out on my end, so I didn't actually have to hear it. So
good, awesome.
Life is good.
Yes. Someone's living right.
Exactly. So how you doing, Joseph?
I'm okay. I think we're both in kind of a similar place of just, kind of a lot going on, but hanging in there somehow.
Yes, sir. And what are you drinking tonight?
I went with a different direction because I figured after all those kind of craft beer, local and ciders that I was going, people might think I'm kind of some kind of, hipster or whatever. So I went like really lowbrow and going with a nice cheap red wine. My favorite cheap red wine, Yellowtail, Australia's finest.
I have seen that in many homeless guy shopping carts. So your everyman credentials are well established.
Yeah, one less shopping cart now. Thank you.
That's right. He never saw it coming. I am drinking, since the film we're watching tonight was shot relatively locally, I'm drinking a local soda. It is Spinnaker's Black Cherry Soda. It's fine. It does the job.
Okay, like the film, fine.
No, not like the film. I like this movie, you bastard, and we're going to talk about it.
Okay,
you magical bastard. And yes, folks, of course, on the stream we talk about horror movies, and this time around we're talking about one that, mom and dad are going to fight, dad and dad are going to fight, and it doesn't mean we don't care about each other.
Yeah.
But we have wildly different opinions on this one. And of course, that movie is Neill Blomkamp's Demonic. We'll tell you a little bit about the film right now. Demonic is a 2021 independent horror film directed by Neill Blomkamp, whose past work includes District 9, Elysium, and the unfairly maligned Chappie, which I still love and will defend with great violence until the heat death of the universe. Demonic takes place in an alternate world where Satan actually exists, so the Catholic Church doesn't have to do his job for him, and instead of paying billions in settlements, they have plowed their fortunes into using technology to hunt evil. Carly, our protagonist, doesn't know that though. All she knows is that her childhood friend Martin, whom she cut ties with long ago, wants to reconnect, and Carly isn't so sure that's a good idea. Given that most of the people from my past who want to connect are either selling Beachbody or desperately clinging to their faded youth by retelling stories in which I have no interest, I understand her reluctance. Martin tells Carly that her estranged mother Angela fell into a coma while in prison and has been sent to the biotech company Therapol as part of a high-tech experiment into dream communications. There she meets this guy, from that other movie we did. And this guy, whose name I've also forgotten. Who are they? They are super secret elite Vatican Knights Templar dudes, and they are part of a long cinematic tradition of thinking the Catholic Church is much more interesting than it actually is.
You're really coming for the Catholic Church today, huh?
Hey, I've had 4 of the 7 sacraments. I've earned this. Once inside the dream, Carly realizes she's up against something much worse than just her mentally disturbed mother. Satan is real, he is a bird, and he is living inside this computer. No, I didn't hit my head. That's the movie, more or less. Will Carly defeat bird Satan? Do I actually love this frigging movie and watch it regularly? You'll have to ignore Joseph's opinions and watch Demonic to find out.
Can't help but feel like you're still upset about the algorithm eating your Mad God video alive.
Maybe a little.
It's okay, big guy.
All right, so that's the lowdown on Neill Blomkamp's unsung horror masterpiece, Be Quiet, Demonic. And of course, before we talk about the movie, we got to talk about what we went in with in terms of expectations. That's right. We got to talk about our baggage. All right, Joseph, my learned but still wrong-headed friend, what baggage did you go into Neill Blomkamp's Demonic with?
So, just 2 things. First, I wanted to like it. I enjoy kind of supernatural ghost and demon and spirit type of horror. That's kind of the thing I'm particularly drawn to. And then once it started to, unpack a little bit, even the initial premise I thought was really interesting. And I'll talk about it a little bit later, something it reminded me of. So it intrigued me. It had potential. But I was aware that, the reviews were not so glowing. So that was the baggage I kind of went into it with.
So when I went into this, for me, when I went in, I'm pretty much all in for Blomkamp. The only one of his films I haven't been crazy about was Elysium. And even he has acknowledged he kind of spent so much time building the world in that one. He didn't put as much time into the story, and it shows. But again, it looks incredible. And District 9 is brilliant. And like I said in the trailer, I really liked Chappie. I have cried several times while watching Chappie. Excuse me. I think it is underappreciated. I think having Die Antwoord in there made it hard to love, which is fair because they are who they are. And I don't mind some of their music, but as people, they seem to be difficult. And certainly, they made it hard to connect with that movie. But yeah, I went into this not really knowing what to expect. This came out during the pandemic. So I kind of just was hungry for content, and I thought, well, fuck it, let's see what happens. And I loved it.
All right.
And I have seen it 4 times. Wow. So you are wrong, but that's okay. That's okay. I still love you. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, real quick, let's say hi. We got Jonathan who's in the chat. Jonathan R. Hello, guys. Thank you for being here. Anyone else in the chat, send us a hello, or if you're watching, let us know you're here. We definitely want to say hi. We appreciate folks tuning in to the
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitch, we would love for you to come over and subscribe to the Weird Together YouTube channel. Recently, we started the show out as part of the Ghost Story Guys YouTube channel, but recently we migrated it over to its own space. So we would love for you to subscribe and come check out some of our other videos. I recently posted a review of Mad God, which, as you know, if you watched last stream, I really also quite liked. And Joseph did a bang-up job of editing. So that's here on the Weird Together YouTube channel.
Yeah, and and we're actually quite proud of that video. Not to toot our own horn, we both worked hard on it, and I enjoy it every time I watch it. So definitely check it out. I think you'll enjoy it. It's something different from what you've seen from us in the past, and maybe that'll be reason enough to like it because it's not what we normally do.
It was very different, and as I say, Joseph had to talk me into it because I do not understand the YouTube attention span. And when he showed me the way that people do these videos, I thought, this annoys the shit out of me. I could never watch something like this. But to be fair, I actually quite liked the video once he was done with it. So the man has a gift.
Thank you. Well, you're writing, so Mutual Admiration Society. We got Catherine Burke O'Malley who's here. Hi, just switched over from Ghost Story Guys podcast. I was re-listening. Awesome. We appreciate that. And then we got Street Ray who's here 4 times. I believe say wait through it once. Amen, Street Ray. I mean, amen.
Get off the stage. All right. Well, things are going to get ugly. The gloves are coming off. We're heading into. Welcome to the Octagon. 2 men enter. 2 men leave. All right. Whoa. Okay.
All right.
Eye of the Tiger. Bring it on, Joseph. First point, Octagon.
I'm going to set you up, though, because I'm going to start out on the good side. There were some things I liked about the film. Okay. So I did think that some of the effects were kind of cool. I particularly enjoyed something about the way they did the imagery, like in the virtual reality, the simulation. Something about the imagery, the way they had like the images almost as though the parts of the building and even the people weren't completely loading in, fully, and something about that was really kind of cool. I just thought it was a really neat effect. And the demon dude leaving the body as seen through night vision was kind of an interesting, neat kind of take on that. I thought that was kind of a cool thing, and even like I think this is probably a little more practical effects, but the creepy demon possessed friend crawling around like some sort of crazy gymnast was kind of interesting. So I do think there were some interesting effects stuff, but maybe that's too much. Too much time was spent on that, and not enough time on plot and story. But the effects were good.
Well, first, let me say, shut up, nerd.
Okay.
Uh, no, I agree. I love the effects, and I said to you off air, I did a little bit of reading, sort of interviews with Blomkamp, and really, this film exists as an excuse for him to play with volumetric capture, which is the technology that grabbed all that kind of cool footage, and it is cool. I've got some caps here. The way it works is they start with photogrammetry, which is they take tens of thousands of photos of a location, and then that's rendered in a computer. And it kind of gives it this sort of kind of like gauzy look. It doesn't, because it can't render it perfectly. So it gives it this sort of slightly computerized, but slightly not look, which is kind of cool and unsettling. And then they had the performers performing their actions in this world in front of 250 cameras. And then all that data was put into the computer, and they built a fully 3D model of the performers in the computer. So basically, from that point, when you're describing this is like a virtual environment. And essentially, with the way the camera's set up, they can move the camera anywhere in that virtual environment because everything is fully 3D rendered, including lighting. What you see in the camera is what you see on the screen. And he'd wanted to do this for a while. He just this was the first opportunity he had to do it. And so, I mean, I think I read somewhere it took about 3 to 4 months from like starting the script to getting it ready to film. So I will say that, yeah, the story needs some work. It could do with some massaging, we'll say. A little bit of development. But that said, again, I thought the film was creepy as hell.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that, and it's interesting seeing that behind the scenes stuff. So that's kind of cool. I wonder if maybe some of that side of things, the effects, I wonder if this would be the kind of film that maybe people who are studying like film, they watch the film not because of the story or anything like that, or the plot, which is, shit, but because of the sort of the technology that was employed, right? So I wonder if it has some sort of lasting impact because of that. So
interesting.
Well, I've got my own little thing to add to this, because I decided, let me start by telling you, Bren is really bad about telegraphing his punches. Like I saw on Twitter some of his tweets about, how this was going to go down. So, I saw it was coming. So I did a little prep, and I crowdsourced some things, and I went out and looked at some of the reviews of Demonic and just kind of pulled some of them from Rotten Tomatoes and prepared a little slideshow. So shall we? Let's watch a few of them now.
Brian Tallarico, that's not a real name. That's not a real name.
Well, Brian Tallarico says Demonic feels like a film made by someone who's scared of his own ideas and his own limitations. And then, David Elric says the deeper that Blomkamp digs into his pixel-thin premise, the more glaring it becomes that Demonic lacks the genre fundamentals required to support any sort of broader mythology. We'll do one more for now.
Ehrlich crapped on the Princess on Hulu, and that is a fucking great movie. So Ehrlich doesn't know what he's talking about.
Randy Myers clunks and gasps along, chugging off the fumes of better movies. So we'll come back to some of those. But I crowdsourced this shit, and the world agrees with me, Bren. So I'm sorry, you're wrong.
I am a warrior, free from the burdens of history, and I will be triumphant. I will stand atop the mountain of bones at the end of time and be declared the victor when this film is recognized as a genre classic in years to come.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let me go on to my next point.
Please.
I actually did have some optimism for the film, though, like I mentioned. I thought that like the whole first act, I thought it was setting up to something that'd be interesting. The whole, Carly and a team of scientists encounter a demon in a virtual world. It seemed something like something that reminded me of a film that I know we had a reference to in the comments, The Cell, which I actually rather enjoyed back in the day. But no plot twist. They're not scientists. No. They aren't scientists. They are super secret elite Vatican Knights Templar dudes. Suit up. Which, by the way, is not, nearly as cool as being part of Ghost Force. But
that's true.
But like that plot twist lost it for me. I really liked where it was going when they were these scientists and Carly, and they were going to be, I thought it was going to be kind of a new take, on the film, on what the Cell did. But Street Right said, now Street Right was comparing to the tech seemed like a half-assed ripoff of the concept from the Cell, done on no budget. But like I thought at least it had some potential with that. So that was very disappointing that I did not like that twist. I just kind of, oh, come on. This is where Jumps the Shark goes off the rails. But one other thing I will say, just on a side note, as you mentioned, in the trailer, the super secret dude, elite Vatican Knights Templar dude, is apparently, we figured out how JLB from the other film, how he can afford that McMansion he lives in, because apparently being a member of the super secret elite Vatican Knights Templar pays pretty well. So one mystery solved. So that's another redeeming part of the film.
Well, I mean, you make a great point, but let me say, you're wrong.
Let's see. Demonic feels nervous, restrained, somehow as if it was from a first-time filmmaker, uncertain of his craft. The script, cast, and direction are all cautiously flat. Rendering final result blandly forgettable. So that's just facts.
I look at those slides, and I know they're from real critics because I read critics, and I'm well aware of how hated this movie is. The pile of bones at the end of time and such. But I disagree with that completely. I think it is a wholly original movie. And I mean, it's a little bit shaggy in the way it fits together. And you make it. I know you're going to make a point later that I do actually agree with. But I thought it was. It is flat, but I sort of put that down to pandemic filming.
Okay.
Because I think they shot this like in the first part of the pandemic during 2020, and because I believe originally they planned to film in New Mexico, and then because the border got closed, they ended up shooting in Lake Country, BC, and Kamloops, BC. And that's actually something I really enjoyed. And this is now, this may seem woo, but I host a ghost show, so fuck it. Part of the film is set at Tronquil Sanitarium, and so that's here. This is it from the VR world that she inhabits, that Carly goes to try and reach her mother. And of course, I didn't totally explain it for our listeners. The idea is that Carly is going in to speak to her mother because she thought her mother had called her. But in actual fact, what has happened is that her mother has long been possessed by a demon, and that demon called out for Carly because it wants to try and jump into her body. And she hasn't spoken to her mother for years because her mother's a violent psychopath. What she comes to realize is that her mother's a violent psychopath because of this demon. That has been causing all this trouble. Now, I've actually been here to this location. This is a real place. It's a former tuberculosis sanatorium outside Kamloops, BC. And I strongly believe in the voodoo of location. That's something Werner Herzog talked about with movies like Fitzcarraldo. That's why he shot it, in the Amazon, because he believed that locations had a power. And I honestly think, I've been there a couple times. I've been down in the tunnels underneath Tronquil, and then I've kind of been in and around the area on a tour. And it is a deeply, I don't want to say haunted. Haunted seems reductive. The people who bought the place, they've tried to turn it into a resort. They've tried to turn it into like a commune. Now they're talking about knocking down all these buildings and turning it into a winery. That land is done with people. It does not want people there. It is hostile to human habitation. And I think that bleeds into the film. I genuinely do. I think for me, that's one of the reasons it sticks so much, is it's got that, like the essence of Tronquil and that place kind of soaked into it. And I think that is one of the reasons it sticks. You'll recognize this scene from the scene where, probably this location from where Carly goes to visit her mother. This is again on the Tronquil grounds. And so, yeah. But in terms of, I'm just kind of rambling. But I do think, I recognize, it is flat. Part of that I put down to the pandemic. And, I think they're working with actors, I don't want to say who are not great, but I have to imagine you're catchment area was considerably smaller, given that you're operating in the middle of a global pandemic.
Yeah, and I think expectations shape how we respond to things, and we've watched some low budget films that I would say had worse acting than what we saw in here, but some of those films were from people who are not experienced, seasoned professional actors, and because this was from an experienced a director with some well-known movies under his belt, and a couple actors that are not necessarily household names, but that are experienced actors, and the whole thing looked like it had a bigger budget than some of the other things we've watched, like We're All Going to the World's Fair.
My monthly restaurant budget is more than that.
Right. So, I think it had the quality of the footage or the film. It wasn't low budget video. Everything looked like major, budget or major motion picture in terms of all of that, and it just didn't live up to that even closely. So I think it was a little bit of a victim of the expectations. If it was a much lower budget, known director, maybe people wouldn't have been quite as harsh on it. But
I mean, I think it was a lower budget movie. There's no official figure that I'm aware of, but I believe it was a lower budget movie than we probably think, because it was independently financed. So I think, again, because the director had a lot of this equipment and he was working with a company that was kind of doing volumetric capture already, I think that's kind of why I think he got more out of his money than ordinarily would have. Like when Michael Bay did Pain and Gain, Pain and Gain was like a $26 million film, which seems like a lot, but for a major production with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock, and it's like 2.5 hours long, shot in Miami on film. I think it was shot on film. It's not a ton of money, but it's because Bay, he owns all the lens packages. He doesn't have to rent the equipment. He's used to running small, these kind of things, right? So I think you get a little more. It looks like more than what's actually going into it in terms of finances. But excuse me, I recognize. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to say though is I loved the twist, the Vatican army twist. I had a 10-foot long boner with Jesus on the cross at the end of it. He was crucified on it, because it was, I don't know why, I love that idea of secret worlds that kind of just pop up and make themselves known, like the movie End of Watch, which is brilliant. It's directed by David Ayer, stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena. It's about two cops in South Central LA, and there's a moment where the one cop's trying to become a detective, so he does some investigating of a location, and it turns out it's a cartel stash house for human trafficking victims. And this the moment he finds it, he is set upon by agents from every government agency, and they basically tell him, you screwed up. This is not your issue. And all of a sudden, this world of the cartel, which he had been completely separated from, it's now right there, and it's very real and it's very dangerous. And I love that crap. So yeah, when it turned out to be, that's the wrong slide. When it turned out to be super secret Vatican Templar Knight dudes, I was pumping my fist, going yes, because I'm a bad Catholic. I was, I do actually have 4 of the sacraments. I was baptized, confirmed. I've had the Eucharist, and I've been to confession, and. But I hate the church. I genuinely do. I just despise the institution itself. Not the people who worship. I think it's good for a lot of people, but the church itself is it's a corrupt institution. But I will watch movies every time. You show me a movie where the Vatican has like a secret weapons lab, like in Van Helsing, that outfits a vampire hunter like Q and James Bond and sends them out in the world to rip ass. I'm there for it. Take my money.
Have you watched Warrior Nun, the series? I think it's on Netflix.
I have not.
It's right up your alley.
Okay.
Except it's done well.
I'll kill you son of a bitch. So all right. So what is your third point, my incorrect friend?
Well, my third point is just not really, kind of moving away from the plot and such. But just in general, I enjoyed how, when Martin is going all tinfoil hat dude, and with his conspiracy theories, Carly's like, yeah, I know I just had, like a gash cut into my arm by a computer bird devil, but this is a bridge too far. Get the fuck out of here. I mean, I literally, when I saw that, I'm watching this film and I'm like, no, this is bad writing. Like she just had this crazy weird experience, like having this gash in her arm while in this VR. Shit's going down. She's not gonna be like, that's preposterous what you propose, you crazy tinfoil dude. Get out of here. Like, she's gonna be more open to, like, you know what, maybe some crazy shit's going down, but like, obviously that again, that's in the writing of the plot for her to kind of not be open to that just seemed ridiculous.
Well, look, I hear what you're saying, but
well, I just got to tell you,
you really flew there.
Yeah, Lisa disagrees with you because she thinks this is perhaps one of the shabbiest excuses for a horror film in recent memory. So Lisa is with me.
I refuse to believe that Lisa is a real critic because her profile picture looks like it was taken from a Lavalife profile. And Triphone, that's a fake name. That is absolutely a fake name. That is what my drug dealer calls himself because that is how many phones he has. But it is not his real name is Lance. He's very nice.
Okay.
No, I think I agree with you in that the script is, the script, it has issues. But for some reason, there is something about it that for me, again, it works in spite of that. Like, for example, the scene you mentioned with the monster, and I'm just going to find it here. There's a scene where her friend turns up at the house, and she's basically, she wakes Carly up from a dead sleep. And Carly goes, there's this very tense scene where she's walking to the door, everything's dark, she's trying to figure out who's there, and it's her friend, Susie, or whatever the fuck her name is. And things are very normal until they're having a cup of tea, and and I love my friends very much. But if one of them turns up at my house at 3 a.m., unless they're on fire, I'm probably not going to invite them in.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here? Oh, I'm being pursued by a demon that cut open my arm, and suddenly you're here at 3 a.m. This is normal and natural. And then she and again, I actually think, again, this works very well, but she says to Carly, she's like, can I show you a weird trick? No, you absolutely may not. And because, again, this never ends well. If you've ever had a nightmare where you see something familiar, or if you've even seen the goddamn Twilight Zone movie where Dan Aykroyd says, you want to see something really scary, and he's a fucking monster, you know better. The second she went, you want to see a cool trick? I would have said, bitch, get out. I would just bum rush out the door. We're not doing this shit. But instead, she lets you stick around, and she puts on this terrifying plague doctor mask and turns into this acrobatic monster. And now I'm not saying that you can't do fun stuff with like leather masks and acrobatic shit, but I'm saying it's not this.
Yeah, that I think I agree. That's a hard pass for me. Someone's like, "Hey, you want to see something?" No, you want to see a trick? No, stop.
No, it's there. If you'll notice, the monster cut a hole in my arm. Yeah. I am full up on surprises for today. Show me your card trick tomorrow. I don't care. You can drag your balls all the way around your butthole and make it look like a flag. Cool. I'll see it in the morning.
I kicked Martin's ass out of this place for much less. Get out.
That's true.
I wonder she works parties, Jonathan.
Well, I'm making inquiries, John, is all I'm saying. She's actually a Vancouver actress. I remember her in Romeo Must Die back in 2000, which if you folks haven't seen, you got to see it. Jet Li, as I recall, he kicks someone in like X-ray vision and crushes their heart. It's wonderful.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well, you know who does not think there was anything scary about this film?
Oh boy.
Matt Hudson does not think there was anything scary or creepy. The tension is genuinely non-existent. There are no creepy or scary scenes, visuals to fall back on. Boring and simply not very good. That's what Matt has to say.
Well, Matt looks like the kind of guy who always cruises the internet with one hand. And it appears that his profile picture was taken from his mugshot, which is a bold choice, I'll say.
Yeah.
But he looks like he was banned from Bumble. And I just can't say I take what he has to say very seriously. Matt, allow me to reiterate.
Okay, fair. Okay. All right. So my next point is okay. So we're going on to when things kind of really start to go a little bit, scary, right? When things start to unfold, right? And so we things are kind of going down, and I love how there's that part where that super secret elite Vatican Knights Templar dude hands Carly the lance. It's like, this is the only thing that can stop it. Damn, I wish I'd have thought of that before the bird devil struck me with a mortal blow. Oh well, good luck. Like that was just like that was just another one of those out of nowhere. And I know you apparently like those out of nowhere things, but it's like, what? The super secret Knights Templar now have this super ancient relic that is the only thing that can kill him. Like, it was just like such a trope, and it didn't work for me.
Well, all I can say to that, Joseph, is because you are simply wrong. I mean, we've all been there. You go to the grocery store, you put your bags in the car, you think, I'm going to use cloth bags. I'm going to take one for Mother Earth. I am good for the planet. And you forget and you walk in there and you go, fuck. Well, I guess we'll try and kill the demon another way. And, it doesn't always work out. You got to pay for the extra bags. I thought the Spear of Destiny would be bigger. I get that all the time. People were smaller back then, Derek. They were smaller, right. Jesus was only like this big. So just imagine micro machines piercing them on the cross. Well, we're losing a lot of folks on this one, J-Dog. But no, we've all been there. Like I said, you forget your bags, and then you got to try and kill the bird demon with your bare hands, and pecks you to death. My thought was he tried to use it, but he couldn't because JB, our bald friend, is just that good. That because of course the reason the Vatican soldiers get killed off screen as again, I'm pretty sure your name is Derek, man. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. He made a point and they killed them off screen and made them a throwaway. And I guarantee you that's because they didn't have the money for an action scene. I guarantee you. There is a scene, I mentioned other movies where, the Vatican have super secret horseshit to do things. John Carpenter's Vampires has a scene literally at the end where they just, it should be the big climactic battle. They're going to clear this underground mine out of vampires which are nesting down there. And they just play gunshot sound effects as the camera pans across the New Mexican sky because they ran out of money. And so I very much, or if you've ever seen Orgasmo, there's a scene where a fight happens off screen, and to show you how serious it is, they just they play cat sounds and they throw fluff from off screen because, they can't afford that shit. So I sort of assume that's what happened there. But I that kind of crap, because I'm a lapsed Catholic, I love the idea that the church is competent. So the idea that the church has this elite strike team and we tried to jab them with the Jesus stick, that didn't work. So now it's your turn. Go poke the bird. And what they really needed to do is they got bread. The place is covered in bread. The holy host is just bread. It's a bird. Satan's a bird. Just feed him some of the holy bread. He'll fucking blow up. As soon as he drinks some water, boom, his stomach goes. This is a problem that solves itself. You guys are putting too much thought into this.
More thought than Blomkamp put into the story, that's for sure.
Neill, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but he's kind of right.
All right. So I'm, kind of my last point kind of it builds on this whole kind of, the whole, offing of the super secret Knights Templar dudes. So I loved how, like the bird devil plows through, the super secret elite Vatican Knights Templar. I have to say it all the way full through each time. And so he plows through them, right? Like nothing, like they're tissue paper. And then, then we've got Martin and his Walmart hunting rifle decides to raid and possess sanatorium. Is like, yup, I'm going to shoot the devil. I mean, another one of those moments is like, no, not me. Not me.
What can I say except oh, that was my favorite. I laughed when I was making that so much. That's Delta Force, for those of you who don't know. Look, man, every single guy who owns a Walmart hunting rifle has waited for this moment. Bird Satan is inside the sanitarium, and you have your, whatever the fuck kind of shooty shoot stick that is. You have been waiting, patiently strumming your boner like a lute while you wait for this moment. And the second that happens, you're going to run in there and yeah, you're going to get your head removed from your body. But by God, you're going to do it in the name of freedom, and you won't have wasted that money. So, but again, there is Derek says, when I saw the demon, I sat there going, is that Khonshu from Moon Knight? Well, there's also, I don't have it capped, but there's another scene when Angela is in the simulation. She gets raised up, and it literally looks just like Stranger Things season 4 when Vecna's about to kill the shit out of someone. So, I mean, Blomkamp beat him to that one. I feel like he's got some legal grounds there. Maybe he can make up some of the box office receipts that this film didn't make. But I mean, it was silly, but there's a thing in movies, right, where what do you do? Like, it's Satan. I mean, you got to do something. I mean, I don't actually think this was a devil. I think the idea of this is like a spirit of the woods, but still, you got to do something. And it's dumb every time. I don't disagree. There's
Devil went down in Georgia with the golden fiddle, so a Walmart rifle might work. I live in Georgia, so might just work.
There we go. Well,
I just what I enjoy is like it wasn't the devil, because the devil read the script, was like, nah, I'm out. Like let me send
his agent passed.
Yeah, his agent passed.
There is Arnold Schwarzenegger's End of Days. It was one of his big comeback attempts. It was from 99 again, and in it he literally fights the devil, like the actual devil, as sort of personified by Gabriel Byrne. And in the original ending, he did defeat it with guns, and apparently they reshot that because it is stupid. I don't know. The new ending is better, in which he kind of fist fights the devil and then ends up impaling himself on a sword that one of the statues in the cathedral has, because like they build stone statues and give them steel swords just in case. Right, but again, shooting the devil is a proud tradition in film history, and I think Neill's just honoring that tradition. I think that's what that was. It's actually very complex, Joseph. Don't you look stupid?
I guess I do. Yeah, my bad. Who doesn't think it's complex?
Oh boy.
Jenny P. Jenny P thinks, and this is not a professional reviewer, Jenny P thinks this is a terrible movie. It's slower and less engaging than anything in the Paranormal Activity never-ending franchise, which I loathe. Nobody is releasing anything except excessive boredom and wooden acting. It isn't scary. It isn't even creepy. I wish I had spent my $1.99 on a McDouble instead of renting this movie from Amazon.
So, Jenny P, if that even is your real last name, one, you do have excellent taste in food. I do love a good McDouble. However, that's a bargain. I just bought this movie, a digital copy of this for like $16. So, so
who's the sucker now?
That's right, Jenny. You're an idiot. I have a digital copy of this movie, and you don't have a McDouble. So I win. Thank you. Mm-hmm. I'd like to say, I mean, that should have been Jenny P, but we didn't have a picture, so Joseph got it twice. That's fine.
That's fine. I'll stand with Jenny P.
Yeah, you're a tough guy. You can take it. One, she's wrong because there are good Paranormal Activity movies. 1, 3, marked ones, and the new one that just came out are all good. The new one's actually fantastic. So she's wrong about that. So she is clearly addle-brained, thick-headed, and the lack of a McDouble has clearly starved her brain
And hungry.
of glucose.
Yeah.
And hungry. So no, I get it, Jenny. I don't blame you for being dumb, but here we are all the same. So we've probably covered most of my points, to be honest, through the conversation. I will say though, some of the things I do have a couple points. One of the things I really enjoyed about the film is the sound design, and you kind of have to listen to it with headphones to get the full experience, but it contributes to this really hollowed out feel of the world. Because I mean, it feels like the film feels very empty, and part of that's just COVID. You know, you can kind of see that in movies shot during the COVID era. Or NTV series, there are fewer people around, and that's just necessity. You know, we watched Bosch season 7 a while back, and literally it's just like Bosch in the detective's bullpen with a couple of bats flying around, you know, shouting to Crate and Barrel over on like 6 cubicles over, "This is totally normal," you know. So that's part of it. But the sound design, especially in the opening scenes when when Carly and Jenny, you're on my mind, Jenny. 867-5309. I'll give you a call later. But Carly is kind of, you know, meeting Martin and meeting Susie. You really hear the wind in the trees, specifically in the trees, the movement of the trees and the leaves. And it contributes. It's actually a lot like the sound design for David Lynch's 3rd season of Twin Peaks. You know, it sort of resists that sort of refined movie soundtrack. So it feels like the natural world is always kind of there. Because ultimately, that's what the demon is, right? It's not really. It's a demon, but it's really a wood spirit, a creature of the forest. And so I sort of like that the woods and the nature is always there. It's always present. And even the shot of the city in which it takes place, which I'm pretty sure, I don't think it's Kelowna, but I could be. I'm not totally sure. But it looks ominous, and I'm actually glad they didn't shoot it in New Mexico, because I feel like you don't see places like this on screen in film very often as like a location. I just thought it looked wholly new, which kind of lent it this very unsettled kind of alien feeling. You didn't know exactly where you were. And again, I thought that worked in the film's benefit. And even later on, the sound is very, it's harder to discern because the film gets louder later on. But it does work very well to kind of put you in this sort of empty and really kind of menacing world. So that's my first point. The second thing is I really like the volumetric capture. Now, excuse me. That said, I recognize it's a gimmick. It's absolutely a gimmick. You know, he wanted to play with the technology. He said that in interviews. And so this film exists so he can play with it. And to be honest, I was actually surprised by how dispassionate he was in interviews about the entire enterprise. You know, I thought he would be more like, yeah, this is my movie. And it was more like, yeah, you know, I'm doing this thing, which perhaps comes across a little bit in the writing. But the way the volumetric capture works is it's a very new technology. So it looks kind of janky and low budget, but it's just because it's an emerging technology. Like the amount of work and computing power that went into making this happen is actually kind of impressive. Well, not kind of impressive. Excuse me. It's very impressive. They actually had to bring additional computers to help the renderers get through everything. I think Blomkamp said him and his brother had to bring an extra 24 computers to help them process all the data. Wow. And the thing I like about it is it lends itself to this because it's glitchy. And there's points where I didn't get a cap of it, but there's points where, well, you can kind of see here on the screen, you can see through her leg a little bit. Mm-hmm. And again, that's because this is just new technology, but it lends itself to this sense of instability, which I liked. To me, it sort of contributed to this idea that you're involved in a place that you don't necessarily understand and that is possibly hostile to you, and you can't necessarily rely on it. And that I thought that really worked. It reminded me of a game review I once read for a game called Knossos, Depths of Fear. And they said Knossos isn't a great game. It's an independent game. I think it's like a single designer of one, you know, or team of one. But they said that the game it's got the sense that it's just barely holding together. And so it feels in a way kind of dangerous. There's something about it that feels like the creator's not totally in control of his own creation. And that was the sense that I felt the volumetric capture brought to the film. I honestly think without that, it wouldn't be a film. Like, I think if it was just shot in a standard way, I don't think it would be as interesting. But I think by using volumetric capture to sort of bring the sense of unreality to everything, by using a wood spirit in place of like sort of equating wood spirit with demon, I think he did something unusual, because I think, horned bullshit is played out, scary horns, woo, woo, woo. So I think by using a totally different sort of design, although as I said, Khonshu is not, he's calling his lawyer right now, but it's just by doing all those things, it was just enough of a twist on tropes to set it apart. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I gotta say, Sarah L disagrees. Sarah loves sci-fi and paranormal horror and adored Chappie, Elysium, and District 9. When it comes to said genres, she's easily pleased, easily amused, quick to suspend disbelief and give characters the benefit of the doubt. This was a steaming pile of vapid exposition, wooden dialogue, and impulsive behavior. I officially revoke my support for Blomkamp to go anywhere near the Alien franchise. I can't believe how bad this film is.
Well, I think we both know what that L stands for in Sarah L. It is loser, just in case that was unclear, because she is deeply incorrect. I to be honest, I'm shocked by how in the minority I am on this, because like I said, I loved this movie. I've seen it 4 times, and I cannot, again, I see the faults with it. The end, like the parts don't necessarily fit together. It's just this implausible thing that doesn't necessarily work. But for me, it all kind of clicks together. And again, I think in years to come, I think this is going to be recognized as a cult classic.
Well, I have to say, I am not at all shocked that you are in the minority, because A, I'm not shocked that there's a minority that likes this, and B, I'm not shocked that you are part of said minority.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Feel terrible. It's meant in the worst way. Yeah.
That's my default setting anyways.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
And I think that's more or less, one more thing I wanted to say is I thought the fact that the demon cuts her in such an ugly way, it's just like a single but very deep gash down her arm. I actually thought that really worked, because I feel like most films would have gone with, he carves a 666 or 3 scratches or some, played out bullshit. But this was just long and vicious and ugly. And I think that, again, it just lent itself to a different approach to the demon thing, because it's not adhering to necessarily Christian theology. It's not dressing it up. This thing is pure evil. It's just bad in every way that something can be bad. And when it hurts you deep and all the way. And I thought that was just a cool touch. It's just a little thing, but I appreciated it.
See, I have a different take on that. See, I think what happened is Blomkamp went to his effects person and said, "What's it going to cost to do a pentagram in terms of the effects here?" And like, well, that'll be 3 hours of work and to get it right. And I think I can do that for about $400. And Blomkamp's like, "What can I get for $100?" And that's what we got.
I've used all of these, but we'll just start cycling through them again. I didn't realize I was going to need so many of them. I'll build more for next time.
Yeah, right.
So that is the end of my points. I have exhausted my Tuctagon talking list. You have as well?
I have. I just have one last thing I think is very important to bring up. And that is that I think Ark of God really summed it up for me well when the Ark of God asked, "Where's the 0-star option?"
Well, I'm really glad that great thinker of the Ark of God from Amazon Reviews took time out of his busy schedule of masturbating with Cheeto dust-stained hands to give us his opinion on Neill Blomkamp's Demonic.
Neill, if you ever watch this, I didn't really hate it that much, but Brennan punched first. So,
it's true.
You know,
it's true. And I love the movie so much, I feel like it makes up for it.
Yeah, someone had to balance him out. So, yeah. Street Rye. I was amused when the demon dies at the end. It falls perfectly into that square indentation in the ground. Also, probably a budget.
It's a very considerate demon, Derek. Yeah. This is, again, he's fighting tropes. He's challenging tropes. He's blazing new ground. You guys just got to catch up.
Landing where we could afford to put the effects. Yeah, good. The pyro.
I will. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's right.
I was gonna say I didn't like. I thought the end was annoying, like the fact that all she had to do was like jab herself once with the lance of Longinus, and all of a sudden this thing is just like, "I am slain," and then he just. Because I thought, okay, she dies. Well, that makes sense. You know, she has to go. All right, fine. It's the downer ending, but you know that happens. But then she lives, and I'm like, well, did the demon not realize it wasn't a mortal wound? Because if they had to just kind of prick Michael with the Jesus stick, why didn't they just do that? I feel like you could have done that at least. Just like give him a shaving scratch. The demon's like, well, that's, you know, it's got Jesus juice on it, so now I gotta go. But yeah, that was pretty weak sauce at the end, and the sort of the happy, you know, her at the end sitting in the hospital, Michael's still alive somehow, brings her flowers.
I didn't include that in my Tuctagon points, but that scene at the end where she's in the hospital with the flowers, like they were like, I'm watching it, I'm just expecting this to be like the Freddy Krueger still alive ending, you know, where something happens, right? I was expecting that, and I guess maybe it's good they didn't do that, and it was probably a budget thing that they didn't do that. But
if they were going to do that, they should have just killed her at the sanitarium. There's nothing I hate more than those lazy ass fake out endings. So I'm glad they didn't do it, because then Neill wouldn't have got my $14.
Oh, you know he would have.
Yeah.
You'd have watched it 3 times instead of 4.
Yeah, in protest. I watched it one time last. All right. Well, that brings the Tuctagon to a close. Brings us to Joseph. What'd you think?
What you think?
Now, I think I know what you think. You would not recommend Demonic. Is that correct?
I would not. In fact, it's like not even. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, I will. It's like, I think this one here, it's not even like so bad it's good. And that's the problem, right? Like, we won't read the whole one, but like that review, like there's films that are so bad they're good, and okay, you'll watch the tire fire burn or something. This was like, oh no, it should be better, and it's just bad enough to. So no, I would not recommend it.
I would recommend it to a discerning audience, someone with taste and distinction. Clearly, no one in this crowd, but I actually no, I wouldn't recommend it. I'm going to keep this one hugged to my bosom until I am vindicated by history, and then I'm going to explode out from that pile of bones I mentioned and put my finger in everyone's face and say, "See, I told you, you fuckers," and then I will die. But it will be worth it because I will have been right. Again, I'm the only person I know who likes it, and I've asked a lot of people. I don't know. It just worked. I can't explain it. I am powerless. I am powerless before God, Joseph. I am his chosen messenger.
Yeah, okay. Good for you.
and there's that exit button we were talking about.
Yes.
All right. Well, any final thoughts from our audience? Now is the time. We're going to start winding it down. So if you have anything else you want to say, let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We moved this over from the Ghost Story Guys YouTube channel over to the Weird Together YouTube channel. So if you're watching this on Facebook or Twitch, please click over and subscribe to YouTube. We would certainly appreciate it. And check out some of our other videos. Again, we're very proud of our review of Mad God, and we will be putting up some more reviews as time goes by. So let us know if you like it, and we will do more. And Joseph, we have not decided on the next movie. I know after the next stream, we will miss one because I will be out of town. But we still have one more, which will be on the Tuesday the 19th. So we have not decided on a movie yet, but as soon as we know, we'll put it up on Facebook, on both the Ghost Story Guys and Weird Together YouTube channels, and we will let everyone know.
Well, I would say you never lead us astray, but clearly today showed otherwise. So it'll be interesting.
Where's the hang up button? There we go. All right, Joseph, where can everyone find you online?
Find me at Twitter at ISO_ghosts. And obviously, the Now We're Together YouTube channel that I do with Brennan here.
Perfect. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as Largely the Truth. Of course, I'm the host of the Ghost Story Guys podcast, as well as Book of the Dead and Largely the Truth with Brennan Storr, which is currently on hiatus, but you can still browse the back catalog at largelythetruth.com or wherever fine podcasts live. And yeah, subscribe, like, and do all that crap. I still don't understand YouTube or like it, but here we are. And I am enjoying the process. So we'll say that. But yeah, thanks for joining us, folks. And we'll see you next time. Because we're weird.
And you're weird.
So why not be weird together? See you next time.